Hey everyone, I wanted to do a follow-up on our Ask Anything sermon that we did last Sunday because I've got a lot of comments on it and I wanted to add to the sermon. So it was Ask Anything Part 4 and the question was, what about the dinosaurs? I'm really confused about the dinosaurs' time in history. Where is God in that? And if you're new to our Ask Anything series, we polled our congregation, asked questions, and I'm going to pick the top 5 and give answers in a sermon. And so this was the dinosaur sermon. So everyone was kind of excited about this, and I'm excited about it because it was great talking about dinosaurs in a sermon. But then after I did the message, people said there needed to be more dinosaurs. You cut out too many dinosaurs. You built us up for dinosaurs and you didn't talk about them enough. So I wanted to address a little bit more dinosaurs. And I had someone say, you didn't even talk about the Big Bang Theory. I want to hear a bit about that too. So I want to talk a little bit about, this is a follow-up to my sermon. You can go back and listen to it. It's on our YouTube channel. We might put the link in here. But I want to follow up a little bit about the dinosaurs. So the whole sermon, the bottom line was science does not diminish our view of God, it magnifies it. And I got maybe a little too carried away with my favorite science topics and then skipped out on the dinosaurs. But I came to the bottom line that science doesn't diminish our view of God, it magnifies it. And using Psalm 19 verse 1 to 4, or Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. And so the heavens declare the glory of God, but creation declares the glory of God. Science declares the glory of God. Dinosaurs give us the glory of God, create the glory of God in us. So there are 4 views. We talked about this in the sermon, but I want to emphasize the dinosaurs. 4 views on Christians and where the dinosaurs fit in. So one is young earth creationism. And young earth creationism, this is Ken Ham and Answers in Genesis and the Ark experience in Kentucky. So this is their belief about the dinosaurs in particular. They lived 6,000 years ago. The earth is 6,000 years old. Dinosaurs lived with people. So Adam and Eve will have lived with dinosaurs. But if you remember reading in Genesis, before the fall, there was no death. So these would have been herbivores. Herbivore dinosaurs, right? So they wouldn't have been eating Adam and Eve and their children. They would have just been eating grass and that kind of thing. And then after the fall, as Jurassic Park would say, they turned into metasauruses. All right. So after the fall, then that would have been dangerous, right? But Adam and Eve were smart, so they avoided the metasauruses. And by the way, I had another complaint. You didn't even have a Jurassic Park clip in the sermon. So I'm putting it right here. Here's the Jurassic Park clip. Well, there it was. There was a Jurassic Park clip. Metasauruses, the T-Rex was a Metasaurus. But thankfully, Adam and Eve survived that. Noah came along, the flood came along. Noah even put a couple small dinosaurs on the ark that survived the flood. All the rest got wiped out. Something you got to know about reptiles. This is a part of the theory as well. Reptiles never stop growing and they live for a long time. In Genesis, people lived longer amounts of time, so did animals. So the theory is that dinosaurs are just big reptiles that lived a long time and grew bigger and bigger and bigger. So after Noah's Ark, a couple dinosaurs survived on the Ark, but later on they became extinct due to climate, or they were hunted, or there weren't very many of them, and they just didn't make it. So that's a little bit about the dinosaurs. They would even say that our myths about dragons are because people lived with dinosaurs at one point. And that myth got turned into dragons, and that's why we have the myth about dragons. So that's young earth creationism and what they think about dinosaurs. Now, you have the next theory is old earth creationism, and this is Hugh Ross and Reasons to Believe. And so they believe that the 6 days in Genesis were just really long days, that they weren't really days, they were eras. And we translate that word yom, that Hebrew word, into days, but it really means not 24-hour days, but just eras of time. And so old Earth creationists believe that the Earth is millions and billions of years old, 13.8 billion years old. And all that stuff that happened in those creation eras actually provided the materials that we need to thrive. So the dinosaurs, or more importantly, the plants and the plankton and the all the material, all the living species before humans, they all died over millions of years, and they created what we have in the ground now: oil and natural gas and coal and all the minerals that we need. And those ancient organisms oxygenated our atmosphere. And so God was using those eras, 6 different eras, to create the perfect environment for then to create humans, Adam and Eve. The earth is perfect, is looking good. Boom, there's Adam and Eve. And they're in the perfect environment. They have all the resources they need. They didn't live with dinosaurs. Dinosaurs had been long extinct. But that's what old Earth creationism believes. And I think that's a fascinating idea as well. Since God has no time that we know of in the Bible, to God, a million, billion, trillion years is nothing. It's nothing to someone who's eternal, and time does not have any kind of frame. So that's old Earth creationism. And then the dinosaurs were just dinosaurs. And all that life over millions of years provided all the materials in the ground, the oxygen in the air, the things that we would need to thrive as human beings. And boom, Adam and Eve were there. So that's old Earth creationism. There's number 3, evolutionary creationism, which is Francis Collins, Biologos. And they would believe that just dinosaurs are dinosaurs. It's a part of evolution. And that's just, they are what they are. But God created all that, and God used evolution as a tool to create his ultimate creation, which is mankind. So evolution is that. And they would, evolutionary creationism would believe in a single origin where everything came from one thing and became everything else. That's something that young Earth obviously wouldn't believe, and even old Earth doesn't believe that. Old Earth doesn't believe that everything came out of a common origin. Old Earth creationism believes that God created things in separate eras, and he created them. So not out of one common organism. So that's a difference of evolutionary creationism. And there's intelligent design. And intelligent design, they would say about the dinosaurs, we don't know. We're not going to take a stance on when they lived or how it fits into Genesis. We just love dinosaurs. And we think dinosaurs show us the creativity of a designer. And they show us that we have an intelligent designer that created these amazing things that lived on our Earth that we see in the fossils. So that's specifically the 4 different views and how they view dinosaurs. I think dinosaurs reveal the creativity of God. Did you know that there were over 700 different species of dinosaurs? And they were so different. Some were as small as chickens, and some were as big as 70 tons. Some have armor, and some had horns, and some had feathers, and some were in the sea, and some were on the land. I mean, dinosaurs show us the creativity of who God is, regardless of when you believe the dinosaurs lived. Psalm 104 verse 24 says, "O Lord, what a variety of things you have made. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures." So when I look at dinosaurs, you guys, I just go, man, isn't God amazing? Not only do we have all this cool stuff now, but all the stuff in the past just shows God's creativity. So dinosaurs are amazing. To me, they show the glory of God. So that's about dinosaurs. I hope that's enough. If that's not enough, comment below. I need to hear more about dinosaurs. Give me some questions you have about dinosaurs, and because it's a great topic. Now, on the Big Bang, I might have purposely left that out because that's a controversial thing. But someone in the congregation said, Chris, you needed to talk about the Big Bang. So just briefly on the Big Bang, to me, I've always read in the Bible, God created light and bang, there it was. right? And it says that in the Bible. God created light and bang, there it was. So for me, the Big Bang is that, right? God created, bang, there was everything. So that, I don't have a problem with that. That doesn't challenge my faith to think about how God created, and if God created with a Big Bang. Again, to God, time means nothing. Millions, billions of years, it means nothing to him. He's eternal. In fact, a lot of people believe that the Big Bang is evidence of God. Stephen Hawking, famous astrophysicist, one of the most famous scientists ever, he didn't like the Big Bang. He thought that that pointed towards the possibility of a divine creator. So he did everything he could to go around the Big Bang because he thought the Big Bang gets to a point where you don't know what started it, and physics breaks down, and then that leaves room for God. He didn't like the Big Bang. And if you watch the Lee Strobel documentary, which is on Amazon right now, it's called The Story of Everything, I believe it's called that. The Story of Something, anyways. I think The Story of Everything. He talks a lot about how the Big Bang is actually evidence of God. It's not something that attacks our faith. It's something that actually encourages our faith. So I encourage you to check that out on Amazon, and that's a follow-up to my sermon. If you have any questions, comments, where do you stand on all these 4 different theories? You could comment below, or come chat with us at Heritage. I'd love to chat with you about it. So that's the follow-up. Hope you have a great week.